Hello, this is lesson 8 of our AES tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be talking about the shift rows. So, in our previous tutorials, we've talked about the difference. We've talked about the add round key, S box, sub bytes, round key generator, key expansion, and we're talking about the shift rows. So, what exactly is this shift rows? You can go to the site projectfpga.com/AES, select shift rows. So you'll be able to read and understand briefly what it is. Below down you see the Velo code for this particular chapter, shift rows.v. You see the Velo code, but I'll be explaining this Velo code in Logisim. Please go through this my brief introduction on shift rows. You can read more on wiki and other different websites. My website is focused more on Velo codes and Logisim circuits. So, but I try to give brief introduction for every chapter. So you can read here. If you don't really understand more, read on wiki. But I'll be explaining it this shift rows.v using Logisim. So this is the circuit and Logisim. So remember I told you we have a 128-bit input of data. So this is the 128 bits. Each block of input is 32. 32 into 4 places is 122 bits. So after the shift row operation occurs within here. So after this shift row operation, we're going to get the output, the new output, after the rows have been shifted. So also likewise, remember about the valid in and valid out. We've been talking all through this tutorial. This is a block of RAM that acts as storage, the RAM 32 that stores each 32 blocks. So whenever this valid in input is on, it means that our input is valid, therefore do this operation here. So once the operation is done and there's an output here, this valid out comes on. So there's no much magic here. This is just a clock cycle. So once the clock is the clock, I'll be simulating it. Okay, there's not too much simulating here. So once the clock clocks this RAM, they are made up of 32 flip-flops. Once they clock them, this input gets latched here, and when it gets latched, this operation, the shift row operation, must have occurred on it. So that is how this valid out and valid in works. So the same clocking that allows these inputs to pass through the shift row and give this output is the same clock cycle that moves this valid in input to the valid output. So once this one is coming out, once this valid out is going high, the outputs are coming out too. So that is just a simple logic here. So I'll be using this. I made this in MS Word to explain it more. I've divided each input into blocks. This is block A, the last one, A, B, C, and D. So I'll be using Word to explain it, MS Word. So I've made this little circuit here to represent the blocks. This is my block A, block B, block C, block D. Remember, this is a block cipher algorithm, so everything works within blocks. So within each of these blocks, A, B, C, D, that is exactly what you have here, A, B, C, and D. So I likewise divided them. These are 32 down to 24 bits. The bits are divided them into bytes. 4 bytes, 7 down to 0 of A. So this makes the first row, that is the 31st bit down to bit 24 of each of the blocks makes the first row. Then bit 23 to bit 16 of each of the blocks makes the second row. Then bit 15 to 18 of each of the blocks makes the third row, and bit 7 down to 0 of each of the blocks makes the fourth row. So after the shift row operation, that's when we are going to get this new output. So after this shift row we get this. So how were we able to get this? Remember from my introduction I told you that for the shift row the first row is left unchanged, that is 32 down to 24 of each of the blocks is left unchanged. That is, at the output you are still going to get them the same way they are initially. Block A, we still have the output of block A, we still have 32 down to 24. Output of block B, we have the same. C and D, they'll still retain it. So here we can see, let me highlight them. This is bit, let me zoom in more so you will see this. I'm trying to show you this. So for each of the blocks, let's look at this wire splitter, how you space them. The first wire represents 7 down to 0, the next one 15 down to 8, the next one 23 down to 16, and then the last one 31 down to 24. So this is the same for all the blocks. So let me do this. So let's watch closely. From here I told you that all the first rows remain unchanged. The first row, the input and output remain unchanged. So let's demonstrate that in Logic Sim. So this is it. This is the 32 down to 24. It went through here and still came out through to the 32 down to 24 that came to the output. So this is what I'm trying to elaborate. From 32 down to 24 here, it went back to 32 down to 24. The same for each of the inputs, 32 down to 24. None, they all left, they went there unchanged. So at the output, they are still going to retain their original position. So, but now let's look at this. Now let's look at the second row. Let's look at the second row here. We say that the second row is going to be shifted 1 byte. So 22 down to 16 of A is going to move to this position. So you can see 22 down to 16 of block A, which is this one, has moved down to block D, and of block B have shifted down to block A, and one of block C have shifted down to block B, and one of block D have shifted down to block C. So they shifted 1 byte to the left. So they all shifted using this forward direction here. I don't know if you understand this. Let me repeat. This is the initial input and this is the output. So at the inputs, all this second row are going to be shifted 8 bytes to the left. That is, they're going to move 1 block to the left. So D is going to move to C, C is going to move to B, and B is going to move to A. A will now come back to D. So that's what I've demonstrated here. So as you can see, B have gone to A, C has moved to B, D has moved to C, and A came back to D. So let's check out the circuit and see this in action. So 23 down to 16, let's see. So 20 down to 16 is the next one. So let's start from D. D expected to go to C. So you can see I've highlighted it. It went down to block C, retaining the original position 20 down to 16. Then block C is going to block B. So let's see, it has gone down to block B. So and block B goes down to block A, and then block A of 20 to 16 has gone back up to block D. So this is how they are going to show up at the output. So and then for the third row, we say this row is going to move 2 bytes to the left. So that is, D is going to move to B, C is going to move to A. So let's see it. So D has moved to B, B C has moved to A, and the one in B has gone back down to D, and A has gone back to C. So you can see how they move them 2 blocks to the left. They move 2 blocks here to the left. So if we were going to see it here in LogicSim, let's see for row 3 how they move 2 blocks. So see it here. D move down to B, C move down to A, B move down to D, and A move down to C. So, and then for the last row, which is the 4th row, they are going to move 3 places to the left. So D is going to move down to A, that is D move to A. Original C move down to D, B went down to C, and A went back down to B. So that is how they interchange, and that is equally the same at the LogicSim circuit, and this exactly the same with the Velo code we have on our website. You can see where they moved state after state and they were concatenated together. The comma in Velo means joining. When you are using comma, it means you are joining, which is exactly what you are doing here. We split them here into bytes, and after we shift them and join them back here. So here we join them. Then on the first clock pulse, if the valid on is high, they are all going to move down to the output. So this is how the shift rule works. Please kindly like and subscribe to my channel. Wait for the next tutorial. Thank you.